Are you lost or are you just hiding from something? She asked it gently, crouching in the back alley behind Heron's kitchen with her break-time bowl of rice and beans, looking at the small girl sitting on an upturned milk crate with her knees pulled to her chest and her face doing the complicated work of someone trying not to cry and losing. The girl was 4 years old in a blue dress with a smocked collar, her patent shoes slightly muddy from the alley floor. Her name was Willa. She looked at the young woman with the careful assessment of a child, deciding whether someone was safe. She decided yes. Hiding, she said honestly. From what? Loud voices, Willa said. Daddy and the man with the papers are being loud, and I didn't like it. The young woman sat down on the step beside her. She was 25 years old, had been washing dishes at Heron's kitchen for 7 months, and this was her 15-minute break. The only meal she reliably ate on shift days, because the staff meal was whatever was left, and there wasn't always much left. She looked at her bowl. Then at Willa. She picked up the second plastic fork she kept from habit and held it out. Want some? She said. It's good rice. Willa took the fork with both hands. They ate together in the alley quiet, 2 people sharing a bowl of rice and beans on a Wednesday evening. The kitchen sounds muffled behind the door. The alley holding its particular peace. What's your name? Willa asked between bites. Petra, she said. What's yours? Willa, she considered. Petra is a pretty name. Like a rock. That's exactly what it means, Petra said, and Willa looked pleased to have been right. His name was Callum Heron, 33 years old. He had founded Heron's Kitchen 4 years ago as a single location and grown it to 3, with a 4th in negotiation, which was what the man with the papers had been discussing and what had become in the past hour, loud enough that Willa had slipped out through the back. He realized she was gone 11 minutes after she left. He found her in the alley 8 minutes after that, following the sound of 2 voices talking companionably about whether rocks could be friendly, which apparently they could under the right circumstances. He stopped at the alley door. He saw his daughter sitting on a milk crate sharing a bowl with a young woman in a dishwasher's uniform, both of them eating with the ease of people who have known each other for years rather than minutes. He stood there for a moment before either of them noticed him. Willa looked up first. Daddy, this is Petra. She has a name like a rock and her rice is very good. Petra looked up. Something moved through her face. The quick professional recalibration of an employee who has just been found in the alley on her break by someone she didn't expect. And she started to stand. I'm sorry, she said. She was alone and she seemed... Don't apologize, Callum said quietly. He looked at the bowl, at his daughter's fork moving through the rice with the comfortable ease of a child who has been fed by someone who fed her with care. Thank you for staying with her. She stayed with me, Petra said honestly. I think I needed the company too. What Callum learned later from his kitchen manager, who learned it the way kitchen managers learn things, from the steady accumulation of small observations, was that Petra Vane ate her staff meal alone in the alley most evenings because the break room was crowded and she liked quiet, and that her staff meal was frequently whatever remained after the more senior staff had taken theirs, which was not always much. He also learned, from the payroll records he reviewed as a matter of course, that she had not missed a single shift in 7 months, had covered 3 emergency shifts for sick colleagues, and had twice stayed 2 hours past her end time without recording the overtime because she hadn't wanted to cause paperwork. He sat with this information for a day. Then he called his kitchen manager and asked a question about the staff meal policy. The answer confirmed what he had suspected. There was no formal staff meal allocation. It was informal, first come, and consistently inequitable in the way informal systems are consistently inequitable. He changed the policy the following week. Every staff member received a proper allocated meal, regardless of shift timing or seniority. He implemented it across all 3 locations. He wrote the policy note himself and signed it. He did not tell Petra. He didn't need to. She noticed the change on a Thursday, a proper bowl, set aside with her name on it, waiting when her break began. She stood in the kitchen pickup window, looking at it for a moment before taking it to the alley. Willa appeared at the alley door 6 minutes later, which was not a coincidence because Callum had brought her to the restaurant that evening for an early dinner, and Willa had a 4-year-old's unerring navigational sense for people she liked. "You have a whole bowl today?" Willa observed approvingly. "I do," Petra said. "Daddy fixed it," Willa said, with the matter-of-fact certainty of someone reporting established fact. Petra looked at the bowl, then at the door, then back at her meal. She didn't say anything immediately. She just sat with it. The specific feeling of being seen in a way you hadn't asked to be seen, by someone who had noticed the small thing and done the quiet thing about it without announcement. Callum appeared in the doorway a few minutes later. He was not there to make a moment of it. He had come to collect Willa, who had once again located the alley with precision. "The policy should have been there already," he said simply. "I should have looked at it sooner." "You changed it," she said. "That's the part that matters." He looked at his daughter, who was telling Petra about a book she was reading about friendly rocks, and then at the young woman who had shared her only meal with a child she'd found alone in an alley and asked nothing in return except a fork. "There's a shift supervisor opening," he said, "if you're interested. Proper interview, proper process. Just, if you're interested," she looked at her bowl. "At Willa, at the alley that had been on a Wednesday evening the quietest and most honest place in the building. I'm interested," she said. "Share the bowl. Give the fork. The meal you offer from what little you have is the most honest thing on the table, and someone is always watching who will remember it long after the rice is gone. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.